Move, move, move.
Oh, this is one strong animal. Thing I don't want to have happen is this horn to come up and hit me straight in the face. Okay, so right now the convoy is headed out to the area where the rhino crash has been spotted. There's one specific male that we are targeting this morning with a very large horn.
For well over a century, humans have been decimating populations of our planet's animals, many for reasons that make absolutely no sense. The rhinoceros is arguably the most recognizable species for this global atrocity. To date, nearly 95% of the world's rhino population has vanished, and most of it is due to one single thing. This is the fight to save a species, and our journey to the front lines of battle begins at the Kariega Game Reserve. I first learned of Kariega in March 2012, just after a dark shadow cast upon the reserve and left them to face an unimaginable crisis. 3 of their rhinos were tranquilized by poachers, brutally stripped of their horns, and left for dead. One animal lost its life immediately. The second passed within days, its injuries too much to endure. But the last, a female known as Tandy, miraculously survived due to the Herculean efforts of this man, Dr. William Fowlds.
Looking after these animals is a massive collaborative effort. No single reserve can do this alone, and we do rely enormously on the support of people around the world. Getting this message out is critically important.
In many large animal procedures, helicopters have proven to be a useful tool, as they allow veterinarians to cover a considerable amount of distance in a very short period of time. White rhinos often graze across open savanna, clustered together in a family unit commonly known as a crash. And based on human intentions, this social behavior has its pros and its cons. The positive is that rhinos are big, making them rather simple to locate from an aerial perspective. While the negative is that when they are crashed together, they become an easier target for poachers.
Now we're moving from the thicket area into this grassland space, and this is where I would expect to find white rhinos, so we're just scanning the area to see if we can find the right one.
Our mission centers around a specific male whose horns have grown to a length that makes him such a target. So in order to give his facial ornaments less black market appeal, it's been decided, and the permits granted, for us to give him a little trim.
We got eyes on the target animal.
With our bull on the run, and now clearly in sight, Dr. Fowlds aligns his shot.
Okay, tell me when you're good, Alex.
Yeah, I'm good.
Wow, look at him move. That dart looks good. Nice and perpendicular. We're now going to set the stopwatch. This is a really important part of the process because we want to track time from when the dart goes in.
It will be several minutes before the tranquilizer serum takes full effect, giving us a narrow but necessary window to land the chopper and move in as a ground unit.
All right, so we got ourselves into a little bit of a tricky position here because he's got his head in a bush, which we're going to have to clear up now.
A rhino procedure is best described as carefully coordinated chaos.
Just listening to his breathing, which is nice and deep, so that's good.
But at the same time, it's a masterclass of veterinary medicine. Here's how it goes down. The chainsaw masters take over, and in a matter of minutes, they intricately landscape the dense, thorny foliage.
Right now it's important for me to just be as out of the way as I can be. Chainsaw's going, they're taking down all these branches. We gotta make space around the animal before we can get in and do the procedure.
Next, Dr. Fowlds administered a muscle relaxant, which helps to calm heart rate and lower the rhino's intense rush of adrenaline.
So it's all about keeping him relaxed and those muscles untense from all the running. Obviously he's fired up, right?
Yeah, so we need good relaxed muscles that improves blood circulation, gets the lactic acid out of there, and while he's shaking like this, he's burning up oxygen.
Shadowing the vet team, I follow precise, organized directives as we collect biometrics, inject a multivitamin, and replace the batteries on this big guy's ankle-oriented tracking collar.
Listen to the power of the breathing. Exchanging breath with a white rhino. Such a beautiful animal. You don't realize truly how big they are until you're literally right next to them. Look at the size of this animal's head.
Finally, it's time for the most important order of business, dehorning.
Do I have 2 seconds at this point to talk about the horn a little bit?
Sure.
So, here's what's gonna happen. Today we are performing a dehorning procedure. There's a couple very important things that you need to know. This horn is not ivory, this is keratin. Just like the same material your fingernails and your hair are made out of. If you look close at this horn, you can see all of these fibrous.
Let him go, pull him left, yeah, come pull hard. It's gonna be a bit wobbly. What this means is we've got our anesthetic dose a little bit wrong and not too serious because we're getting circulation back in his legs. We're just gonna walk him towards the trailer because that's where he needs to end up.
Well, nothing will make your heart race like a rhino getting up mid-procedure. This is one strong animal, even when it's in this state. You can only imagine how powerful this animal is at full throttle.
He should go down any minute now.
The thing I don't want to have happen is this horn to come up and hit me straight in the face.
Okay, just don't support him. If he falls over by himself, it's nice and soft here, he can't damage himself. Okay, great, perfect. We're just gonna give him a chance to settle down.
That was crazy. Okay, we have successfully moved the rhino out into a more open area, which is perfect for this next aspect of the procedure, which is horn removal. Now, I want to be very clear about a couple of things. This is what poachers are after, this giant piece of horn. And the problem is that poachers don't come in and just saw off the piece that doesn't touch the root. They come in and they cut it out all the way down to the root. So that goes down and into the snout. Causes massive bleeding, it's catastrophic damage that in almost every instance kills the rhino. So as much as I hate to take away a piece of this beautiful animal, the true thing that defines it, this is how you save a rhino. And I cannot stress enough that this does not hurt the rhino, not physically in any way whatsoever.
Nice and cool. Okay, let's do back horn. This is the procedure that we dread doing the most in rhino. It's just an absolute sacrilege to take these off.
So do you think that this throws off the rhino's depth perception at all by not having the horns in front?
I don't think so, but they know that they don't have a horn. Well, I mean, they obviously have to learn that when they wake up from all of this. We're going to walk him now.
Okay.
So we're just going to rock him onto his other side. If he stands up in the process, then great.
1, 2, 3, push! Push!
Just keep supporting him. That leg's going to be a little bit floppy.
Here he comes,
and then we're going to go left. He's in first gear. We're going to change to second. Keep pulling. We're going to line him up with the trailer.
With the dehorning complete, our final task is to load this bull into a trailer and relocate him to another part of the reserve.
That was unbelievably exhausting. Just the force that it takes to balance that animal. Dr. Fowlds said probably about 1.5 tons, and that's not a full-grown rhino.
So what we're looking for in transit there is that he's got complete control of his body. We obviously don't want him to be fighting this crate, but he must be able to move himself around and keep himself on his feet without being thrown around by the movement of the vehicle.
This new, expansive habitat is home to several first-generation cows, and it will only be a matter of time before he claims this territory, breeds, and diversifies the genetic population.
What an animal, eh?
Unbelievable.
Hey, amazing. To think he's still got growing to do too. He's not even fully grown yet. Incredible things.
The charge of emotion right now is almost hard to explain. And as I prepared for today's scene last night, I was laying in bed thinking to myself, there are a number of emotions that run through me. Sadness, first and foremost. I can't tell you how sorry I am that we had to take the horn from that beautiful animal. Yesterday we were filming B-roll with it in the wild. I mean, I looked right into this animal's eyes, thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure that's the one whose horn we're gonna take tomorrow. So I had to carry that with me going to sleep last night. So that's where the sorrow comes in. Sorry that we as humans have put our planet in a state where we're now being forced to take the prized element that defines a rhino away from it, a dominant male. This is everything that makes up his emotion, his spirit, his confidence. And within that animal's soul and body, he's gonna wake up and wonder, where did my horn go? It makes me angry to know that we as humans are doing something like this to our planet, doing something like this to our animals. And the reason these animals are being poached is because people in other countries, in Asian countries specifically, believe that the rhino horn has medicinal purposes. I can tell you with 100% certainty, it has been proven by doctors that that is absolutely false. Another thing is that wealthy people would love to have this on their mantle, but I can tell you this much, there is absolutely no honor in having the horn of a rhino on your mantle. And for as angry as I can be at the process that poachers go through, you have to understand that in many instances, the poachers themselves are almost forced into these situations. This horn is worth money. If they get this horn and sell that horn, that money provides for their family. It is a vicious cycle. So the sorrow and the anger build together, and I realized to myself, you can't fight this fight by being angry. You fight this fight with having hope. Dehorning white rhinos is necessary because of the way that they move in herds. The next animal we're going to look at is the black rhino, a slightly more solitary animal. And what we're going to try with this next segment is to find out whether or not technology can be the answer to the future of these animals, and not taking its horn, but providing something that may be the front lines of conservation.
This horn will be immediately taken off-site to a secure, undisclosed location. And I want to note that dehorning is only one aspect of multi-dimensional wildlife protection at Kariega Game Reserve. There are around 20,000 white rhinos left in the wild, which classifies these gregarious giants as near threatened. Yet they are not the only rhinoceros in Africa. The black rhino, the more elusive species, is listed as critically endangered, and its wild numbers have dwindled to barely 5,000. Visually, there are a few noticeable differences between the two. For starters, black rhinos are smaller in weight and stature as compared to whites. Taking a closer look at their heads, you will notice that white rhinos have pointed ears and a square upper lip, whereas blacks have rounded ears and a pointed, prehensile upper lip. At ground level, these key features make identifying Africa's rhinos quite simple, but from a helicopter, it's all about experience.
This is typical territory for black rhino. To find a rhino in here is incredibly difficult. We can fly for hours here and not find one.
Dense Albany thickets blanket the hillsides, creating ideal foraging and hiding habitat for black rhinos. But for Dr. Fowlds and the helicopter team, seeking and successfully darting our target animal is a noticeable challenge.
Coyote, come in for Mike.
Go for Mike.
Eyes on the radar, we gotta move out.
The good thing is that the hillsides aren't too steep, but we might end up on the side of a cliff doing this procedure, so things are about to get intense.
So we've identified the right animal. Just going to load a dart here quickly. So what Alex is going to do is just line up this rhino, and when she's comfortable, she'll tell me when I can take the shot.
Okay, ready?
We are good.
Good.
All right, rhino's been darted. Nice, this is all open, flat area right here. Okay, got animal down right here.
This is typical black rhino. He's got himself with the head in a bush. I'm just going to put his blindfold on, make sure we protect his eyes.
All in all, black rhino veterinary workups are very similar to our previous white rhino experience. Carefully coordinated chaos.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
The biggest difference is that instead of taking this animal's defining feature, we'll be performing an interhornal implant procedure that disguises a GPS tracking system into the rhino's rear horn.
And you can notice how much larger The horn is on this rhino because it's never been trimmed before.
Using a Dremel, we carefully carve a cavity, which provides a snug fit for the GPS.
It's amazing to hear it breathing. This is what we're fighting to protect right now. And the toe structure is quite a bit different between black rhinos and white rhinos. You see these 3 large hooves up front, how agile these animals are. Being able to move around on these steep hillsides, a lot of cushioning in the foot, so these toes can almost grip around rocks. For such a large animal, it's amazing how agile they are.
Next, a strategically colored dental epoxy is used to fuse the unit in place, keeping it camouflaged and out of the battle zone if this rhino ever squares off with another male.
You can see how non-invasive this device is on the animal. Now, once that epoxy is cured, we will grind it down slightly to blend right into the horn, put in the reversal serum. This animal will be good to go.
Right, let's go, guys. Remember, their wake-ups are different. We need to get out of here.
Okay.
All the way.
All right, the transmitter is officially locked in place in the horn. That is what you call a successful mission right there. We put the reversal serum into the animal, and we got the drone up in the air. We'll be able to follow it as it tracks back and off into the wild. Yes! This was incredible.
Looks good. He's finding his feet very nicely. His anesthetic was smooth all the way through. Very happy about that. He didn't give us any surprises, which was good for the humans. And I'm actually very impressed with the implant. We managed to get it in there with a lot of space around it. So it's been a good procedure.
I am excited to have participated in one of the first interhornal implant procedures that has been performed on this species, and the technology linked to it will help protect this animal and its horns on a daily basis.
That's how you do 2 rhino procedures in 2 days. The white rhino dehorning, the black rhino with a piece of technology that might change the face of conservation. What an unbelievable experience. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave, stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure.
After traveling a journey like this, you arrive at the realization that your final destination has somehow become a new perspective of the world. What happened? Where did we go so wrong that as humans, we have put a fictitious value on the horn of an animal that created a black market demand worth more than gold, diamonds, or oil? When are we going to stand up, and who is going to break the wheel that drives the game of horns? Brave Wilderness, in collaboration with Global Conservation Force and Kariega Game Reserve, have a pioneering vision to help the future of Africa's rhinos. We are building a safe haven in the Eastern Cape that may become a last stronghold for the preservation of these animals if poaching is not brought to an end. What we do now does truly echo in eternity, and I can promise you, in less than 10 years, these animals will be extinct in the wild if we do not take action now. This is the truth of the rhino's plight, but you can change their future. Become a warrior and join the fight by clicking the donate button, so that together we can prevent the loss of these vanishing giants.